And with that, we welcome you to the Hub of Junior Golf podcast. I'm Ryan Bird, joined as always by the founder of the Junior Golf Hub, Roger Nick, and a very special guest this week, Jason Caron, who juggles life as a PGA professional at a club in New York, also playing the PGA Tour Champion. So first off, welcome to the Hub of Junior Golf podcast. Obviously, a great treat to talk to you today. Just give us a little bit of how difficult that juggle is of your day job and your day job plus one, so to speak.
Yeah, listen, first of all, thank you for having me on the show. This is great to reconnect with everybody and talk about what's going on with golf. But yeah, I mean, when it comes to me, it's, I've been telling everyone the same thing. It's all about, your staff. If you have a good staff, it makes life a little bit easier. I'm fortunate enough I get to work with my wife, Liz, so she keeps an eye on what's happening here. So she's really the boss, if you will. But she, so it's great to have her around to give me a little bit more insight of what's happening here when I am out playing. But I still stay in touch with everyone through email, through text message, just to make sure that we keep all the connections open. So if there's anything that's in need, they can reach me at any time during the day, pretty much. But, I have a great first assistant, Matt Lavos. He's been with me now for like 4 years. And then I have a shop assistant that she's been with us for, I think, like 6 years. So, and she's grown immensely through the LPGA and doing some other fine things too. So awesome staff, makes my life a lot easier, especially when I'm out trying to, make a few putts. But, if I look back a year and a half ago, I mean, this wasn't what I wanted to do, was to go play the tour. It just kind of like happened. And as it happened, everything kind of progressed, if you will, especially when it comes to confidence when you're playing golf. So that's been the biggest thing for me, and juggling family and stuff has been easy because Liz, as Roger, as you know, like Liz's background is a player, right? So she understands what I'm doing and where I come from when it comes to being out on the road or whatever's happening. She understands it totally. So it's always great to have that in your corner as well.
Not only have it in your corner, but you have a partner, right? I mean, you literally have a partner that knows from both sides of it, playing and obviously working together in the golf industry. It's pretty awesome that you can, hey, take a look at my swing, and hey, how are the kids doing? I mean, think about that.
Yeah, no, and that's, and she does both equally as well.
Yeah.
We were just chatting just off the air a second ago. I wish the last month was a little bit different playing wise, but there's been a lot of other side things we might get into with an event in December that's been on my mind. And I think I got a little bit away from what I was doing before, which is totally just going out there and freewheeling it. And all of a sudden I started getting focused on trying to get in this one event. And I think that a little bit, it makes you a little tired, I think a little easier. And, but Liz has been great with the kids. The kids have been awesome. They love coming out on the road and seeing me. My little one, she does gymnastics on Friday. So she's like, Daddy, am I going to miss gymnastics? I said, you are. And she's like, oh man, but yeah, they've been great. It's been great for everyone in the family.
Jason, let's talk a little bit about golf in general. Certainly, Roger and I have our pulse on all things junior golf. You're talking of tens of thousands and thousands of kids that are playing junior golf with, in many of them, the hope, the dream is to play college golf and then move on potentially to the professional ranks. And certainly we understand, Jason, how difficult that is. Practicing, so many kids think they're practicing because their watch or their phone says that they were at the driving range or the putting green for X amount of time, but that doesn't necessarily mean they are practicing. Give us an idea of what practice means to you and how important practice is constructively to getting you at the top of your game.
Yeah, it's a great question. Quality is more than quantity, I guess, right? Doesn't matter how many range balls or how many putts you hit, how many chips you hit. It more of the quality of the time you're putting into that. If you're with a coach or you just got done with your coach maybe you can go to the range and hit some shots, but every shot needs to mean something. So I think when I'm out there, like when I'm here at Mill River, and if I can sneak out and hit balls for a little bit, a lot of times it is just getting out to the range, kind of, getting stretched a little bit. I know it seems strange, but it is. It's trying to get your body back into like golf body, I always say. Just swinging that club, feel free. I was getting ready for a Met event. I really just focus on wedges, to be honest with you, try to dial in my wedges. So, we're lucky here at Mill River, we have a TrackMan. So I might get, numbers that I know that I can hit with certain clubs, especially my wedges. Because I know if I can wedge it well, I usually putt it pretty good. I might have an advantage if I'm wedging it well over the rest of the competitors. My background too is as a player back in my early days, so I still have like the juices that kind of get there when it's time to go. But putting, again, I don't think you don't have to sit and putt for 5 hours, but you need to hit. I always started even short. I'll start with that. Start with a 1-footer. I know it seems like, it's just a tap in, but every shot matters the same, right? I mean, if it's a 6-inch putt or a 350-yard drive, I'd rather hit it in the rough, but one putt the hole, right? So I think that working on putting and short game is more important. Quality time, whether it's using a chalk line, or I have a little gadget that I use. I have a tendency in my putter, if my putter is lined up straight at the hole this way, I usually aim a touch left. I don't know why, but I have a little device that I use, and I try to make sure that each day when I'm looking down my putter that I'm aimed properly. I know even when I get a left to right putt, even in the event, I'll still try to aim it a little further left for some reason. I don't know why that is, but I've learned through trial and error, that's what happens. So I will, I'll just work on those little things. So when it comes to getting in the event, you just want to make sure you're confident enough that you put in the time, and that now it's time to just let it happen. I use the analogy when I was a kid, Larry Bird. I mean, I don't think Larry Bird would shoot a basketball and say, okay, my arm has to be at a certain degree with certain, pressure to throw. He just sees the hoop, he got the ball and shot it, right? He did all the prep work he needed to. Now let's just go play. And I think that's the most important thing is when these juniors do their practice, when they get to the course, now it's just time to let it go, just play. And when you can do that and forget about all the stuff you've been working on, have one little swing thought, but don't just stand over on the side of the tee and try to get your swing to, this position, P1, P9, whatever all that stuff is. Like, you don't need that. You need to just play golf. And I think that's what most people work with feels over, I don't know, the mechanical part of it.
Jason, as you mentioned that, and I love that you mentioned that, because I do think that so many people think that working on their game is just working on technique. But one of the things that came out of, and part of our relationship is the PDI, right? And how you use PDI and what you kind of gave us feedback on, which was it wasn't about technique, that you can go out and work on putting, you work on chipping, you work on your ball control, if you will. How, as you went through it, you were saying like hitting putts from 2 feet to 3 feet to 10 feet, and rolling the ball and not thinking mechanically, as you just said, is like going out and playing and working on the golf skills are such a critical part of this versus worrying about position golf, P1, P9, whatever it is. I'm with you 100% there. How much did that help you this year as you went out and practice and kind of put into play kind of some of the, the PDI assessment tools that you have, just using that as a practice plan? We say to our juniors all the time, being able to just set up your drills or set up the assessment is really like practice. And it's actually a very high level practice because you only get to do it once. So now there's a consequence to it. Talk a little bit about how that helped you with the intention of practice.
Yeah, it's funny, you guys invited us to your campus, if you will. And that, I remember that at that time last year, my elbow, I have a little bit of elbow issue here because hitting so many golf balls. But we had my assistant. I brought him along with me just so we could see it. And I said, so Matt, why don't you go ahead and go through all this stuff? So when I watched him do it, I was like, wow. Now you talk about, being like in the moment, like you need to focus big time to hit those shots the way you want to hit them. Then when I took the assessment this summer, I guess it was, or spring, same thing. Like here I'm playing some great golf. But when I did this assessment, I'm like, wow, you got to be really on and really sharp. And you have to think about it because you're hitting, into a net. I'm a visual guy. So, I mean, I can go through other stuff when it comes to visual, like, snowboarding. If you told me how to snowboard, I'm not going to be able to do it. But if I watched you and you knew how to do it, I could probably try to mimic it and get close to it, even though I didn't know what the heck I was doing. Right. And that's the same with golf. Like, I'm watching, Miguel Jimenez out there hit chip shots and how they hit these shots. And I'm just like, wow, I'll ask a quick little question to him and then I'll try and mimic it. And to just hit a ball into a net, that was difficult for me when you try to hit a low one, a low draw, low fade. And I noticed that when I get done with that, when I'm hitting shots on the range, you kind of think, wow, if I can't pull it off into the net, am I going to be able to pull it off seeing the ball go into my practice area, right? So you sit there. I know some of the weaknesses I still have. And I feel like, with your assessment with PDI, it's like it just shows you instantly where you can get better. And that's what I liked about it. For me, I think it was more like the physical part was something that, as you get older, look, I'm sitting behind a desk now. It's a little bit different. So when I'm heading out there, body's not as flexible as it used to be when I was a kid. But I think, these kids, if they can get into this PDI program and they can understand how well it'll show towards coaches, towards themselves getting a little bit better. It's not just about hitting a golf ball straight. It's not about just, being able to bench 300 pounds. You got to be able to put it all together. When you put it all together and you can actually see if you can make that skill even better, right, through your program. I mean, I wish I had that when I was a kid, right? I didn't have anything. Yeah. I just said, well, I got to go to the golf course and I got to, like you guys are saying, I got to putt for 4 hours. That's all we had. I mean, we really did. I don't even remember, to be honest, as a kid having a handicap. I know it sounds strange, but I really don't even remember them making us have a handicap. And to have we could, I don't know if the right wording you guys might not like, but the PDI handicap, if you will, you can show where your progress is lacking and what you need to get better at. Does it get any better than that? I mean, really, it makes life so much more simple. You know what you need to get better at, and you always have to keep that stuff. If you're putting it great, you still got to keep practicing and keep doing that. But if your mental is off, we got to build that up. So how are we going to do that? And your program shows us how to do that.
Well, I think where golf misses is because it is such an individual game. And I liken it to if you play baseball or basketball or football or what, for the most part, in season, you have practice every day, in a lot of cases, 3 days a week, but you go and there is someone that is in charge of, here's what we're going to do today. We're going to make sure we know how to bunt the runner over from first to second, second to third. We're going to work on that. And wow, holy cow, I've never really learned to bunt before. This is a major weakness in my baseball game. Whereas golf, I feel like almost what you just said, Jason, it is you go to the golf course, you play golf, you put your score in, and it's a good day, bad day. And I always say this, you can go play a round of golf and you can chip in twice and you can make 2 long ones. And the ride home is unbelievable because you shot 71. And that exact same round where every single stroke was the same, you didn't chip in twice, you didn't make 2 long ones, the ride home is miserable because you shot 77. Nothing really changed except a couple went in and a couple didn't. I just think golf really suffers, really struggles from most kids see a coach maybe once a month, maybe twice a month. In the best case scenarios, 3 times a month. That's 3 out of 30 days where you have a plan. And that's the best case scenario. The other days, there just is no plan. And it is, you get there and you go through your bag and you pound drivers, you maybe go hit 2-3 putts, but there's no focus on why I'm shooting 75 instead of 65. What part of my game is prohibiting me from taking the next step? You think PDI, if it becomes universal, can change the way kids look at their own game and identifying where they need to spend more time than just going and banging driver?
100%. I mean, it shows, again, in my evaluation, I think I hit it pretty decent that day. I putted the ball pretty good that day. I'm sure my mental part was probably pretty good that day. My physical probably wasn't that good that day. Right. And I think that, again, as we get older, and listen, I'm the first one to say I would prefer not to go to the gym if I don't have to. But those are the little things that make these guys and gals better, right? That's why they are the best, is because they put in the time every, whether it's every day, I don't know. But the days that I'm at the golf course, when I'm playing on tour, I'll see the same, call it 10 guys working on their skills, whether it's in the gym first, in the therapy van after. It's chipping, it's putting, it's hitting, right? They have a coach sometimes there with them, but they're working on their game and they continue to do it as they were when they were younger. But again, if you're gonna go through it and half-fast it a little bit, don't expect to be the best. And in order to be the best, you have to put in that time. PDI shows you some of those areas that you'll have weaknesses, although you might not agree with it or want to agree with it. I think you got to focus on that to get better. And this program is just amazing. It's just, I think that, again, for someone my age, I'm in my 50s, to be able to it showed me that, again, my ball striking and mental and chipping and putting was pretty good. But that one part is the physical is something I need to be better at. And if I'm going to be, you guys were talking earlier, I'm 20th on the list. If I want to be top 5, maybe that's an area that I gotta focus on, right? You focus on it, but you still can't let go of the other stuff, right? So you got to blend it. You got to have a blend. And I think that having help, having guys like you around that can help us is huge, or a coach or a PGA Professional. I think that's humongous to have.
Well, think about it from the standpoint of Bernard Langer, his longevity. I mean, the acceleration still that's in his game comes from his ability to stay physically healthy, even though he's gone through some injuries. Or Jimenez. I mean, Jimenez talks about a lot about how he wants to really focus on staying out there and continuing to have success because of his physical side, right? I mean, and that's a huge part of it. I think a lot of people kind of pass over because I don't need to go get, bulked up in the gym. It's not about being bulked up. It's actually about preventing injury, but also the overuse of injury over time. I mean, listen, you've been playing since you're a kid and you're now not a kid. It does matter, right? It does matter every day you get up and for your balancing act that you're doing, which is an incredible job, which, being a, PGA Professional at a club, head pro, director of golf, and stepping out and playing at the high level you're playing obviously says something that you've done right. And so that's pretty incredible. Jason, I want to go back a second. You mentioned this event that you kind of sidetracked you a little bit with your, last 4 events or the end of your season this year, because you were trying to make this special event. And I'll let you talk about it, but relating this to the kids, relating this to what a lot of our junior golfers on the podcast go through, which is trying to get recruited for college golf, and how many parents and kids, I'm not going to blame all the parents, but how many that college becomes a means to an end, and they actually put that goal of playing in college or getting recruited way ahead of the process of just going out and playing, as you called it, freewheeling, right? And just playing golf for the sake of playing golf. And that's when you usually get your best results. Can you talk a little bit more about that pressure that you were feeling? What were your experience? Because I think more juniors feel that because of this idea of, getting recruited. So it's similar, but different, obviously different reasons, but it's still similar. And let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, sure. So, these last 4 weeks, they put a little bit of pressure on me because they told me that the tour told me that I was in the runnings to play my way onto the Skechers World Champions Cup. And what that event is a Ryder Cup for the guys that play on the Champions Tour. So I got picked or I played my way onto the team for Team USA. There's 6 of us that are on that team. And there's 6 on the international, and there's 6 on the European teams. So, to get that honor was huge. And they told me the only way I was going to get on that team was to play my way on. So I had that in the back of my mind, basically 4 weeks ago when they told me about it. And up to that, I really wasn't even thinking about it at all. Not even once it really popped in my mind. And when I got out here, when I got my opportunity to play, I just told everyone that I'm just going to have fun with it. Just let it flow, and whatever happens, God will take care of the rest. If that's going to be the case, I'm not going to ask questions as things got going here. Very good for me, playing great, and then get, secure my card for this year. And then boom, it came out the same way. And I'm just like, wow, this is incredible. But yeah, if I step back a second, I would just let it happen. Just play golf. Don't think about what's going to happen ahead, right? I think that's something back in my day when I was playing and when I was younger. Dr. Bob Rotella who became very good friendly with. Actually, Liz and I would go to dinner with them, and we'd go down to Florida in the wintertime before our kids were around. And we'd have dinner with them and just shoot the breeze. And he would tell me, he'd say, Jason, when you just let it happen, you could play with anybody. And the problem was that I think I would think in the future, right? Meaning I'm thinking ahead. I want to know, okay, can I be on the tour? What it's going to be like to be on the tour? Yeah, that could be a dream. But when you're playing in an event, and if you want to win a golf tournament, the best players, I don't think, are thinking, hey, I got to get to 20 under par. How am I going to get there? Like, I don't think that's happened. I think they just go one shot at a time. And I know everyone in the world has heard, that's a golfer that's heard that. You really have to believe it. You have to show yourself that you can do it. And when your mind races, usually that's what gets you in trouble. So now let's put me in that situation. 4 weeks ago, they tell me I had this opportunity. So now every shot, I'm like grinding it out, thinking about the future. Oh my goodness, if I make a bogey hit, it's all of a sudden I'm shooting 72, 73, 71, 72, 73. I'm not shooting anything in the 60s. And I'm like, what just happened? Like, my game just left me that quick. So fast forward, we get to Raleigh a couple weeks ago, and the last round, I kept telling myself, Jason, you got to just play with one shot at a time. Okay, it was a tough day with the weather. Get through, I birdie 17, and then to 18, I make another like 18 footer for birdie, and the tournament's over. And that's the way I played my best, when the tournament all of a sudden was over, right? I wasn't thinking about how much money I could make, what I was going to shoot. It was just like, wow, the tournament's over. So now we go in. I mean, you got 9 layers on. It's been raining, this, that, and this. And people are telling me, congratulations, you made the team. And I'm thinking, really? I thought something else happened with another guy. Blah, blah. Nope, you're on the team. I'm like, oh, okay. Sure enough, the next day I got a text from Jim Furyk, our captain. Jason, congrats. You deserved it. And when you start hearing that and seeing that, you kind of start believing that, right? The last 2 weeks, game got a little bit better. Still not right where I want it, but I can see it getting better. I can tell my mind. I told my caddy on the first round this past week in Little Rock, I go, wow, I just had fun again playing golf. And he kind of was like, that's when you play your best. And I'm like, I agree 100%. I said, I think these last 4 weeks have been tough because I'm thinking about results or looking for results instead of just playing golf. And until you can do that, that's what's going to separate you from being, a club player, college player, elite player. That's what it's going to take. And I think, again, your program, PDI, can help you with those things, can help you get there. And that's what you're looking for, a little bit of an advantage, right? If you go through this program, you're going to be already above and beyond some of those other players. And that's what you want to look for when you're looking for a coach, a program, whatever it is. What can I do to get me just a little bit better than the rest of the guys? And your program does that for you.
Well, that certainly was a very well said, and certainly a great walk through the incredible journey you've been on. Certainly, we talk a lot about PDI in this podcast because we believe it is the future. We do believe that it eventually will be a part of every person's golf journey, whether it's junior golf, adult golf, professional golf, amateur golf, and whatnot. For more on that on this podcast, we want to bring in Alex Hume for just a more of a view from 25,000 feet of PDI, Alex, and with Jason and Roger and myself, obviously all believers, just give our viewers on the podcast and also the attendees of the webinar a view from up above PDI, please.
Love to. Thanks for having me, guys. And Jason, good to see you again. Congrats on a great year.
Thank you. It's good to see you.
It was fun to have a chance to come down to the club and put you through it this summer. I'm going to take 5 minutes or so and just share a quick visuals. You guys can have a chance to see what PDI is all about here. And I'll turn it back over to you by saying what PDI is here and give you a breakdown of where PDI originated from. My background is in golf coaching. I've been here at the Golf Performance Academy for 8 years. In the last couple of years, I have worked on the product development of PDI as we've turned this into something we can offer other coaches out there as we feel it has value. So PDI originated from a full assessment, which is 17 physical tests, 140 golf shots, 80 mental questions. You can see it's a very extensive test. Our goal with PDI was to create a short or an abbreviated version that we could offer to other coaches. They could utilize that at their club or with their juniors and be a little more time-friendly assessment that they could get value out of and track the development of their players over time. So you can liken PDI to an NFL combine. That's one we know of out there that incorporates physical testing, mental testing, and then sport-specific testing. We feel it's unique, and we're not seeing much of that in the golf space. Obviously, we know there's tons of assessments out there. We hear about assessments all the time now, whether it's a TrackMan combine or outcome-based performance. We know there's tons of stats programs out there, scoring averages, handicaps, right, which are outcome-based metrics. What we're trying to do with PDI is take skill-based or core skills and track the progress of that we would hope leads to outcome. So this version of our assessment or the certification is the coach guided, which you can see in the middle there. It's 4 physical tests, 39 golf shots, and 24 mental questions. And we incorporate a scoring average. Now, this gives you a 0 to 100 score, which is your PDI score. You can see a breakdown of how that scoring range falls. Typically, we're seeing somebody that's in the 0 to 40 range as your beginner or somebody that's building skill. Somebody in the 40 to 60 range might be your mid-level player with experience, competitive junior, or somebody that's reaching a college level of golf. And then the 60 to 80 range we're seeing as the elite golfer, college golfer, and then we might see professional even above that. Quick look at what we're seeing with the PDI and the software. You can see this is what you would get out of this assessment. You're getting a PDI score, a player profile that you can share with an athlete so that you can be on the same page as the athlete and the coach. Here is a view of the player profile. So you can see on the top, we have every score broken down per section, right? We're trying to identify which area might have potential for improvement, which is a strength, which is a weakness. I know as we were talking about in Jason's case, we found that mobility was probably the lowest scoring there, and being on the Champions Tour, that would be an area of interest for him as he's going for the longevity play. Now, that might be different for a junior golfer that's building skill, or maybe your 20 handicap that's trying to get to a 10, right? So PDI is, we're going to target those development plans in different ways depending on the person. But it's really to go back and say, all right, this is the area that's important. This is where we see the most area of opportunity. And it's then giving the athlete something to continually focus on rather than losing sight, which we know is challenging when it comes to coaching and development in anything. Here's a look at the player profile and how we're tracking the development of those metrics over time. We can see any individual metric is graphed, right? And you can follow that through their development journey as they go through assessments. I'll show you a quick look at what the app looks like, what you would see from using this as the coach or the athlete side. And then this is how we use PDI. So going through an assessment, we have the assessment scores. What we do is then try to dive deeper into those areas. As we mentioned, the PDI is sort of a high-level snapshot of each of those areas when it comes to physical, golf, and mental. We want to dive deeper into those with further evaluation if something, let's say, shows a weakness, right? We would then, as the coach, develop that improvement plan, deliver our expertise in coaching, and then really because it's tangible, we're giving the athlete or the client something, whether it's a junior or an adult, that's only going to help add value to their coaching, right? And how they're looking about getting better at golf. And we're going to see retention from that. And obviously revenue is a byproduct. So this is how we feel somebody could implement this, whether it's at your club or if you're coaching juniors. And then finally, our certification is online for those that have interest. golfpdi.com. You can go through this. It takes about 4 to 6 hours, become PDI certified, get access to the app, and then start assessing your players. And I'm going to stop it there so I'm not going over here, guys.
Perfect. That's awesome. And certainly, I think we all believe that as this becomes more of an everyday process in junior golf and amateur golf, coaches are going to, as players around the world are going to have a PDI score and be part of PDI. Certainly the coaching process of this is going to become such an important part because, coaches are going to have to be certified. And the beauty of this is we understand that most good players have their own coach. And this really isn't to disrupt whatever player coach do now. But as we talk about the everyday practice plan when the coach isn't standing over them, to be able to understand PDI and use it from both a coach and player performance development process is such a big part of this PDI process. We are going to open this up to the attendees and take some questions. Roger and I occasionally do this on the podcast. We're going to do it today. And certainly, if you want to turn the camera around and ask it on camera, we'll do it that way. If you want to unmute your viewing and ask it via that way, or if you just want to go into the Q&A part and type a question in, certainly we can do it that way. We'll start with this kind of as a first question that's in here, Jason, and that is in your off season. And actually in a recent podcast that Roger and I did, we had a pretty long conversation about the purpose of an off season and how important it is from a lot of different standpoints, including rest and just allowing your brain to rest a little bit, but also that off season as you start to tune up and get better. How will you use PDI, Jason, as a tool in this off season to identify strengths, weaknesses as you ramp up for next year?
strength and weakness, right? That's kind of what I need to get better at. Gym work is going to be something that I'm going to be doing. I mean, you could do a bunch of different stuff when it comes to, for, again, some of my age, especially like a yoga or stretching program. I do a lot of stretching when I'm out there now. Even just in the hotel room, it's just easy to just kind of get up, call it an hour before you're going to get ready to leave. I just stretch in the hotel room, try to stretch out as much as I can to just kind of, and I kind of go through some, like, it's going to sound weird, but maybe some self, kind of like pumping yourself up a little bit before you get to the golf course. And I'm trying to figure that word, but, I think you need to have some self-talk as well when you're out there. Listen, like you guys said, it's not a team game. It's up to you. So you kind of have to get yourself pumped up to get out there to play your best, to trust what you have put into your game leading up to that week. And you just have to get out there and really just kind of give yourself some motivation to say, hey, listen, I got this, I can do it. And I'm going to show myself, not mom or dad or coaches, I'm going to show myself that I can get this, I say job done, but get it accomplished to play at a very high level, and hopefully to keep it going. So for me, that's kind of the things that I like to do, and I will continue to do that over the winter. The physical part when it comes to like hitting a golf ball, listen, I live in Long Island now. And I got 2 little girls going to school, so I'm probably not going to be in Florida a ton. I'm fortunate enough to have like a putting green available to me that I can hit some putts. So that'll be something that I can do to chip and putt. But again, if I get to Florida to work on my game, it's going to be really a lot to do with around the greens, chipping and putting, and really trying to hone that part of my game, because I think my long game just kind of like, it always takes a little bit of time, but if I know my wedge game's good and my putting is pretty decent, I can still compete. I think, those are the things that I'll really focus on the most. I don't really hit a lot of balls indoors personally. I'm not like I said, I like to see my golf ball. I like to see things happen. Hitting into a net or into a screen for me just doesn't work, but that's just for me. I think, there's obviously a big call for that out there, but, maybe if I have the time, maybe go through another PDI assessment to see where I stand would help as well. But, we'll see. We'll just have to see. It's been a long season. I still got some work to do here at the club. So I still got a lot of things going on. So we'll just have to see.
And you got to win the Ryder Cup, man. You got to win the Senior Ryder Cup. Come on, let's put things first.
Another question we have, which I think is a really good one, is and this is kind of the wonderful part of having you on the podcast today, is you do wear a couple of different hats. So you've obviously given us the player hat, now put on the coaching hat. And how do you plan on, and how do you think PGA professionals around the country, as PDI becomes almost a mandatory aspect? And when I say mandatory, I just mean that the kids are going to want to be doing it because it's going to be so well documented of how important this is a part of not only recruiting process, but getting better process. So as a coach, Jason, how do you think you'll best utilize PDI for the players that you are coaching?
Yeah, I know when we started, and I know we mentioned it earlier, it's more junior driven, if you will, right now. But I know when I look back at some of the teachings that I've done out here coaching, we used to call ourselves teachers, now it's coaches, right?
That's right.
But a lot of these guys, there's a local guy here that has a golf fitness place, and I would tell him, I say, guys, listen, I can tell you how to swing a golf club, but I'm not a professional when it comes to the physical part, right? So the best place to find out if you can even do what I'm trying to tell you is to go get a fitness test, right? Your program already has that already in there. I mean, your program, yes, like you said, it takes, 4 or 5 hours to go through it to get yourself certified. But realistically, it was not the most difficult thing in the world to do. you have to pay attention, read some stuff, you see some videos, this and that. But for a person that is a PGA professional, this can only help you. First of all, it's another revenue stream. I mean, parents will spend money on their kids, right? And if you have done all these programs to get certified, there's another avenue for you, right? And then you can hopefully get your assistants hooked into that. So for me, if I'm not around, maybe someone could go see Liz, Matt, Faith, whoever it is here at the club. But I think, listen, this is the future too. We can't just be locked in and think about, well, it's just only handicap, and I don't care about, if this guy's going to get any good or whatever. Like, you got to focus on what's going to make your students better, especially your young kids, right? Because they're, like I said, their family's going to be willing to spend that extra few bucks to get them evaluated, and then after that, come back to you as well, right? To get stronger, to get better, to get mentally better when it comes to playing golf. So I just think the future is going to be here at PDI. I think that the handicap is, I don't even think about handicap, to be honest. I think this handicap or this index is going to show you where exactly you are lacking. And I think that's the key, especially when it comes to someone that's really into golf. If you want to focus and find the exact spots you're weak, come get yourself evaluated.
Yeah, Jason, I can't say that any better. I love the fact, and if you mentioned it earlier, is that there is no handicap for junior golfers. I mean, there is no prerequisite. There is no, all the way through college golf, there is no handicap needed. I think what a big part of developing this tool was to actually show improvement and development and not kind of use the handicap as a crutch or a misguided, number that says you're getting better. And in fact, I think as well as I do, and many on this call, handicaps haven't changed in 25 years for most people. And it's because they're actually not looking at development. They're looking at, how do I actually just keep my number to get in my betting games? And, that's okay too. It's a big crowd out there doing that. But us in particular, focused on the junior game, I just can't see how this doesn't help a coach with their players developing and saying, hey, listen, let's focus on this and not on what your handicap is. And I think, to your point, the goal here is overall is this becomes an index that's industry wide around player development and not just around who can I play golf with at the club over the weekend.
Yeah, well said there.
Yeah, absolutely. So certainly we thank you, Jason. Obviously, this was a great pleasure to have you on not only the podcast, but the webinar as well. Alex, wonderful overview. I think that's long overdue as Roger and I on a weekly basis discuss PDI, to be able to see it mapped out as you did. I think that was extremely beneficial for all of the families out there. And I think that this is a great success. This is the beginning of a journey for not only PGA Tour professionals around the country, but certainly the amateur game and junior game, as this becomes more and more a part of what it takes to go to the next level. I always said, just imagine being a college coach where your college team, every player on your team has a PDI score. And that is for the last decade, your best player, your worst player. You can relate to where their strengths and weaknesses were with PDI. And then in the recruiting process, when a blank name comes across your screen in the rankings, that you're starting the process with a 14-year-old that has a PDI score, and what that will mean apples to apples with players that you've coached. I just think that this is the beginning of transforming really the way the game is coached, and more importantly, the way the game is practiced. So I want to thank you all for joining us today on the Hub of Junior Golf podcast. Once again, for Jason, for Alex, for Roger, Nick, I'm Ryan Burr saying till next time. We'll see you real soon on the Hub of Junior Golf podcast.